What's going on, guys? Billy here, and back during my freshman year of college when I first started uploading videos to my YouTube channel here, I was on a shoestring budget and I had absolutely no experience in photography, videography, or really creating content in any way. So with that said, I wanted to find something that could help me improve the overall production value of my videos, so I turned to this device right here, the DJI Osmo Mobile. It was one of the first pieces of photography and videography gear that I ever bought for my channel here, and my thought process was, well, if I already have a great camera in my smartphone, which was the iPhone 7 Plus at the time, why not just go and find something that could kind of add on to that camera and supercharge it in a sense. Since then, we've had many upgrades introduced to the Osmo Mobile over the years, and now here we are with the brand new OM5 that's smaller, lighter, more powerful, and has a few tricks hidden within. It also comes in two different colors, Athens Gray and Sunset White, which absolutely has to be my favorite color on any product that DJI has released. It's white, but in certain shades of light has this red hue undertone that really pops. Now, my philosophy with gimbals of any kind, whether they stabilize your smartphone, your action camera, or say your mirrorless camera, is that if they can stabilize your video and if they can give you smooth looking footage in your end result, then at the end of the day, they have accomplished their main task. It is the core function of these gimbals is to stabilize the camera that you put onto them. So therefore, any other feature added on top is just like a bonus feature. I would consider it like a nicety, right? So to give you an example, I was using the Ronin S for the longest time, and when the new RS2 came out, I upgraded to it, not because I thought it could give me smoother looking video, but it would upgrade my entire shooting experience, giving me a lighter gimbal, so a lighter overall setup. It's got these nice locking arms, right, which makes things easier, and of course it has the built-in screen, right? So the reason that I upgraded my gimbal is not because it would stabilize my video any better or give me any better looking video, but it's because of those improved shooting features. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that every single year when there's a brand new OM gimbal released, DJI always improves that shooting experience, not only with the hardware, changing things up a little bit, but also with the software built inside of it. So to kick things off, I want to touch on this new design, which I've really grown to love. It still keeps the same functionality of previous OM gimbals with the folding design for travel and the arm position when your smartphone raises to the shooting position. It also maintains the same available buttons, status LEDs, and ports, except for the removal of the full-size USB-A port. Now, this design results in the OM5 being 1/3 smaller and lighter than the previous OM4, and you can tell what they changed to decrease the overall footprint just by looking at both of these gimbals side by side. A lot of excess plastic was cut out from the arms, the handle area, and the button interface at the core, giving the OM5 a sleek, streamlined look. In fact, this is the first major change in the handle that's been made in the Osmo Mobile series since the beginning. I mean, look at the original Osmo Mobile and the OM4 side by side. They are very similar in shape from the buttons down. The OM5, on the other hand, has this more rounded off pill shape. You know, I really didn't get a chance to fully appreciate just how much smaller and more lightweight the OM5 is than the OM4 until I held them side by side in my hands. I mean, the footprint on the OM5 is definitely smaller than that of the OM4, but it's still comfortable to shoot with. The ergonomics are great, and because it's now lighter weight and smaller, it's easier to use for those longer shooting sessions. Now, also, of course, the magnet mounting system is back. It makes setting up this gimbal super fast. I mean, basically spin this around, bring the arm up, attach your phone onto the gimbal, turn it on, and you're good to start shooting. Now, DJI also sells like a little magnetic puck that you can stick onto the back of your phone. I just have the clamp for now, but this gets the job done. The magnets are great, makes it super quick. But over everything in terms of the design change, the biggest change is this extension rod that they've added now built inside of the OM5. When fully extended, this will give you an extra 8.5 inches or 215 millimeters, which is really good for one thing, and that is filming yourself. Now, as you saw, I just extended the extension rod when the gimbal was turned off, but you can do this on the fly while the OM5 is still turned on. I would grab the base and pull upwards to bring it out to the distance that you need, and then of course, you can just push down on the top of the base to retract it. Now, an alternative method to this is to pause the motor of the gimbal too by tapping the power button on the side and then extending the extension rod and then re-engaging the motors to begin shooting. Now, when fully extended, the gimbal still operates like usual and, like I mentioned, is perfect for achieving a comfier grip when using the OM5 to film yourself. Otherwise, if you plan on using the OM5 to film what's in front of you, you'd probably be better off using the included tripod as an extra handle for more precise two-handed control. It's pretty crazy to think that DJI was able to make the OM5 1/3 smaller and lighter than the OM4 while also incorporating a fairly large extension rod or selfie stick built inside of the handle, but that comes with one drawback. I'm sure that you can probably already guess what that is, and that is a smaller battery that comes shipped inside of the OM5, which of course is not replaceable. You've got to recharge the battery that's built inside of the handle, but the OM4 came shipped with a 2,450 milliamp hour battery that gave you about 15 hours of runtime, and in the OM5, we've only got a 1,000 milliamp hour battery, so a smaller capacity that gives us about 6.5 hours of runtime. Now look, that is definitely a fairly large difference. That's about 9 hours, 8.5 hours of a difference in terms of runtime, but quite frankly, no matter what gimbal I'm shooting with, I can never kill the battery in one full shooting session. I'm always able to hit a charger in between when I need to use it, so that decreased, or I guess the shorter runtime on this gimbal really doesn't affect me all that much, and quite frankly, I would take the smaller design and smaller battery to give me a better shooting experience rather than bring excess battery with me that I probably won't end up using. Now, to wrap up the hardware and design portion of this video, I want to mention one of my biggest gripes with the OM5, and that is the tilt range of the motors of the camera, the mobile device itself. So basically, like, that's how the camera on the phone looks up and down, which you'd think has a fairly good amount of range of motion here, but if we turn the gimbal on, if we go ahead and we flip it so that it's horizontal, you'll notice that with the joystick, you really don't get much movement up and down. Right off of the bat, I found myself having a lot of trouble with this because I was used to my RS2 that allows me to tilt my mirrorless camera up and down basically as much as I want. The OM5, on the other hand, is very limited, so to get around that, you've got to actually move the device physically up and down with your own hands and point it in the direction that you want to shoot, which really isn't all that much of a deal breaker, but again, it's just something that I personally had to get used to. But over time, it did end up looking pretty good in the footage I was able to shoot. Now, you might be wondering why up until this point, it is the first time that I've showed video taken with the OM5 here, and that is because whatever smartphone you have is going to depend on how much mileage you get from this device, right? I can't show you example photos and example videos and tell you, hey, this is exactly what your video is going to look like because I've got the iPhone 12 Pro Max. In my opinion, the newest iPhone, the top of the line iPhone, is always going to have the best video out of all phones available on the market because Apple is just running away with the competition in terms of what they're able to do with video on their phones. A lot of phones take great photos, don't get me wrong, but video, man, Apple's just in a totally different league. So if you've got any different phone than I do, your mileage is going to vary. You'll still have some of the features built into the Mimo app, so the experience will be the same, but the actual video you shoot is really all dependent upon which phone that you have. Now, I can say that from a general shooting experience with the OM5, it's really comfortable. The ergonomics are great, as I've mentioned, and you can actually really feel the difference in weight. Like when I'm using the OM5, it almost feels like I'm just holding my phone. It's that lightweight. Now, the clips you guys are watching, again, are from my iPhone 12 Pro Max. As I've mentioned, your mileage may vary, so take these, I guess, with a grain of salt unless you also have this same phone. But regardless, being able to shoot smooth video with the electronic image stabilization on these phones is great, but being able to use an actual handle, grab on with two hands, gives you the option to get a lot of different shots that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Now, you heard me mention in the beginning of this video that my philosophy on gimbals is that as long as it can stabilize your camera and give you smooth looking footage and your end result, then it's done its job. And quite frankly, DJI nailed this right out of the gate with their Osmo Mobile. So does that mean that they shouldn't update their gimbal as time goes on? No, it doesn't. Of course, they're going to continue to make things better. And I think that while they nailed it right out of the gate with the stabilization, right, they've obviously improved their motors, made them stronger and more powerful to accommodate the larger phones we now carry around in our pockets. They've also done a really good job on the software side, improving the shooter experience through their application and a lot of the cool little features they've built in to make the shooting experience fresh, fun, and overall better. So along with every new camera release in the Osmo line from DJI, I always like to mention ActiveTrack because it sees small improvements each year, making it more powerful and reliable. This go around though, ActiveTrack isn't a massive overhaul by any regard. In fact, we've already seen this version of ActiveTrack, ActiveTrack 4.0 on DJI's Air 2S. I guess you could make a big deal about it because it is the first time that it's been introduced in a ground-based camera, but nonetheless, it gets the job done whether you want your camera to track another subject that you're filming or if you're filming yourself. I have noticed that it can be a little bit jerky when trying to keep the frame centered as seen in this clip here, so I'd always recommend to try and use your own skills to keep whatever subject you're shooting in frame, but if that's not possible, then don't worry, ActiveTrack is there to help you out. Now, the OM5 has dozens of different shooting modes, things that we are familiar with from previous DJI drones and DJI cameras and gimbals, right? We've got things like hyperlapse, motion lapse, panorama, time lapse. We mentioned ActiveTrack, right? So we've got all of these different modes to take advantage of in the OM5, but with every new release, DJI likes to add something that makes the shooting, editing, and sharing process just a little bit easier. So like we saw in their previous drone release, the Air 2S, we got the Master Shots feature where the drone flies autonomously, captures a bunch of footage. It's basically a juiced up version of their quick shots. It does a lot of these quick shots in a row. It edits that video and then provides you a video file to share on social media. It is honestly just a one-tap solution. You tap the button, the drone flies, it edits, it shares. It does all of the work for you. And even though, a gimbal isn't autonomous, it can't just move around on its own, DJI has tried to capture that same Master Shots feature and implement it into the OM5 here with ShotGuides. So basically it gives you a shot list that you can then use to make your own video. It then edits the video and gives it to you to share. So as of right now, there's a pretty hefty lineup of shot guide templates ranging from the park to the beach to even the food that you're eating. Within each of these general categories, there are even more options that varies from shot selection depending on your environment. Let's stick with food here, which lets you choose between an at-home theme, a restaurant on-the-go theme, and a theme that works well with a group. As you scroll down the shot list, it gives you examples that you can replicate to then be combined into a short little video. As someone who shoots and directs video on the daily, coming up with a shot list and determining your shot selection is always one of the hardest parts of the job. And this translates when you're just out with friends, casually taking some video. Let's say you want to put together a short clip to remember the day with your friends. Yeah, you have that idea and you want to do it, but can you execute it? Are you able to determine a good shot list, edit that video, and then have something to share? The answer is probably not. And that's why having something like ShotGuides is really pretty cool because it gives you everything you need to do. You follow the recipe, it edits the video, and then you've got something that's really kind of cool to share with your friends. Now, personally, I think that the process of capturing the video could be streamlined just a little bit more to make things easier. I will give DJI the benefit of the doubt because this is still a new feature, but it took me a few tries to understand the flow of how to shoot using shooting guides. Once I was able to finally apply all of the shots that I wanted, it spit out a video towards the end that had a theme I definitely wouldn't have chose, but hey, it did a good job at piecing together my test clips, and it's something that was actually at least watchable. Now, I quickly want to jump back to a previous point that I made. It's kind of the culmination of this entire video, the one thing I was trying to embody throughout the entire review of the OM5. I liked it so much that I wanted to end with it. With every brand new release from DJI, whether it's a drone, a camera, or a gimbal, they're trying to make the content creation part of it that much easier through automated shooting modes, automated editing modes, easier sharing, right? And we see that with Master Shots in the Air 2S and shooting guides on the new OM5. And you just gotta wonder, what's next? What are they gonna be able to do that makes this process even easier now that they've given us the exact shots that we need to replicate, they edit the video for us, and then we just tap on share? What does the future hold? I always like thinking about the future. But look, if I kind of left you out here because you're maybe somebody that doesn't care about all those features, the OM5 at the end of the day works great as a gimbal. Out of all of the mobile gimbals I've used, especially in the OM lineup, these gimbals, the OM5 in Sunset White and Athens Gray, are so lightweight that it doesn't even feel like you're using them. And no matter where you point it, it's always going to give you nice stable video. So if you're somebody that doesn't care about the add-on features and just wants to pick this up as a gimbal, it's a great gimbal. So don't worry, you're going to get great results from the OM5. Anyway, I think that that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. There's going to be some more videos coming out on the OM5 over the next couple of days, so if you're interested, be sure to subscribe down below, and if you like the video, feel free to give it a like. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.